never tried to find it, 'cause what I discovered, it was keeping me down. So when nights reawake,
Thunder's briefing. What does that mean?
so show me the light, shine it on the whole world, shine it on the whole world, shine it on the whole world. 'Cause in my heart beats a drum louder than you and I, louder than you and I. 'Cause if skies that crumble and brings tears to your eyes can rise up in the morning and bring hope through sunken eyes, then the love that was lost can start anew. Pugineo Benino. Ayibobo!
Ayibobo. Ashe.
Looking for a way to grow your business?
Ashe. Welcome, welcome everyone. Let me join everybody on camera. Wow. I'm so glad that we are all here. Thank you. Thank you all for saying yes to this. Thank you for coming. I imagine that, sometimes we're like in back-to-back meetings. And so the song was like a transition in, right? Just so that we can be able to transition in, and not feel like we have to like rush to another meeting or another gathering or whichever. But thank you all again. So my name is Ruth Ifakemi Jean Noel. I am the founder and executive director of Fanm Saj. Today is a very special day because it is the first ever funders briefing that we're having. Personally, I've never done this before, not with any other organizing or group that I've done. So it's an opportunity to be creative, an opportunity to highlight the work that Fanm Saj has been doing. And so I want to thank you, each of you, for being here, saying yes to this, and being on this journey. So we'll be on my time. I'm on the East Coast, so we'll be together from 2 to 4. And I'm going to share kind of like we're going to be going back and forth with like some screen sharing and then like some personal kind of time. And so I'm going to share my screen just for this round, just so that you all will be able to see our flow for today. So welcome again. All right. Our time for today is, of course, we're going to do welcome, ground us in like the purpose and objectives. We're going to do a grounding with the Sacred Ori affirmation card deck. And then we're going to go into guidelines and values. I really wanted us to experience a practice that we use at Fanm Saj, which is circles. And so we're going to be experiencing that through the elements of guidelines and values. Then I'll share some updates depending on like our timing. It almost feels like time is never enough, like we never have enough time, right? And so as much of updates from Fanm Saj, and the culmination of this and like the intention behind today is to kind of bring you all in and some of you all into a fishbowl story sharing. And so I'll give specific direction for that. And then I'll share opportunities to stay connected and in closing. And so that is where we are headed for this afternoon or morning for some folks. All right. So this is our purpose. So our purpose is really to showcase the ecosystem of healing justice and restorative justice practices in Florida. We want to highlight the collaborative work between partner organizations while demonstrating the critical need for increased funding and support. So that's our purpose for today. And our objectives are, we have a couple. So first we want to we want you all to experience our work through circle elements. We want to highlight the visible but also invisible work of Fanm Saj. And then we also want to articulate a unique value of healing justice work in Florida's social justice landscape. And especially for our partners who are joining today, our intention with you all is to be able to share and have this be an opportunity for you to learn more about our work, and then ultimately for us to be in deeper strategy with each other. And then for our funding partners who are here, we want to continue building relationships and also potentially with new partners, right? And new funding partners as a way for us to really understand the lay of our land and why and how this work is so crucial at this time. All right. All right. So this is the Sacred Ori affirmation card deck. I think some of you all are familiar with the card deck. This is the point I'm gonna stop share for a moment. But the card deck was created in 2020. We created it with artists and for together. Um, May 2020. If y'all remember what was happening, so this was there was a lot going on in our movements. There was the murder of George Floyd that had happened, right? And we were just kind of going into the pandemic. And so the card deck itself was a tool that we were able to create during Mama's Day, like the intention of understanding parenthood in all forms of parenting. And this also then was created with a beautiful artist named Gina, who designed the booklet and also the cards themselves. And so I'm going to invite everybody. Yeah, yes, it's true. I'm looking at the chat. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. So I'll invite everybody to just be mindful, right, of your own breath right now. I'll take us through just a brief guided piece here, and then I'll pull a card for us, right? I'll pull a card for us for our time together today. And so wherever you are, I'll invite you to just take a deep cleansing breath and just exhale that out. And we'll do another deep breath in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. And we'll do another deep breath in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. So I've shuffled the deck some, and we're just asking, what is it that our collective Ori wants us to know? And for those who are not familiar, Ori is a language in the Yoruba family in West Africa, meaning your inner head. And so in Yoruba culture, your inner head is really what drives us on this planet, on this earth. And the more connection that we have with Ori, the more connection and deeper that we can be with our communities. And so I shuffled the deck and I like to cut it in half. Let's see. Oh, Ashe. I get to see the card first. It is the Inspire card. It's kind of blurry. Let me see if I could turn the blur off for this time here. Y'all see the Inspire card. And this is one of my favorite cards, and I'll share with you why. Well, I'll read it and then you'll maybe have an idea of the why. So it is the number 13 card. And so for those who are into numerology, you can also be thinking about what does that mean? What meaning that has for you? And the artist for this card is Crystal Clarity, who's a movement, mama and movement artist. So number 13, midwife of consciousness. In Haitian culture, a traditional midwife is called Fanm Saj, the wise or gentle woman. Much more than catching babies, their role is often also to catch communities. Catching in this case is living freely, not allowing people around you to fall into traps of oppression, self-doubt, or negativity. Your natural awareness of self and others may lead you to catch those parts of your community that bring joy and healing to your own life. Ashe. And so this is the interactive part. I'll ask you to come off mute if you're able to. And the activation and the affirmation that we do together is we hold our head. So if you're able to come off mute, I'll ask you to do that now. And then you'll hold your head. And if this is the first time that you're doing this today, I'll just ask you to just say thank you. Just say thank you to your own inner. And so you'll repeat after me. Ori,
Ori,
allow me
allow me
to midwife
to midwife
my own consciousness,
my own consciousness,
to catch,
to catch,
gather,
gather,
and nourish
and nourish
parts of myself
parts of myself
that I can no longer
that I can no longer
afford to let go of.
afford to let go of.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And Ashe simply means it is so. So what a time, right? Like what a time. So let us be inspired today, right? Let us hold on to the inspiration of midwifing our own consciousness during this time. So thank you all for that. So give me 1 second. I'll be Ashe, thank you all. Thank you for being in that practice with me. I think a lot of you all know that I am a mama of three. My youngest, Marvy, just started school daycare. And so it's been a transition this week, has been a transition. He goes in crying. Me too, I cry on the inside. But it's a good transition because it's good for him to be socializing with not just mommy and daddy and older children. And so thank you all. So every so often, if he needs some support, I have to support him, but hopefully I'll be as present as I can today. So in just full transparency. All right. So we are going to enter circle. And again, this is an invitation. So you're welcome to kind of like pass, right? I invite you to, if you're able to join us on camera, we'd love for you to be on camera. That way we can all see each other and vibe with each other. And so as we enter our funders briefing, we enter with guidelines. And so these are our guidelines as we hold circle. We speak from the heart, we listen from the heart, we speak with respect, we listen with respect, and we hold confidentiality, right? Like I know that there's some people who will be able to watch this later, right? And so this will be something that's shared with those who aren't able to participate. And so this piece around confidentiality is also crucial and very clear that like as much as possible, you can hold the confidentiality that's shared here. But there's a lot of values that we want to be able to hold with each other and share with the world. And we want to respect the talking piece and we try our best to remain in the circle. And a virtual talking piece is an opportunity for us to create a circle flow, which we will be able to do in just a moment. And we can hold the Inspire card as the physical talking piece as we go through our circle for today. All right. And now we're going to create some values together. And so so interesting, right, is like the card that we pulled is the Inspire card. And when we think about values, right, nothing is by accident. Everything is on time and everything is on purpose. And so I want you all to think about two values that you hold when you think about catching communities. And once you have them, I want you to hold on to them because we will be doing a sharing. You're going to share your name, pronouns, if you want to share your like what organization you're representing, and then the two values that you shared. And so you could do that. You could choose whatever values, but when we think of values, we think of like one word values or things that we were taught growing up or something that's coming up now. But specifically, when you think about catching communities, what are the two values that you hold on to? So I'm going to stop my share so that way we can see each other as we move into circle. So we'll give maybe a minute or so for you all to think of 2 values. All right, so I will kick us off and get us started. So my name is Ruth. Ifakemiji Noel. My pronouns are she, her, and queen. I am representing Fanm Saj in this moment at this time. And the 2 values that I hold dearly is one is Iwapwele, which in Yoruba language, it means good or gentle character. And when I think about character, I think about how we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, how we treat and connect with nature. And then the second one that I have is radical love. And those are the 2 values that I have. Radical love really is like when I think about why I do this work, I think of because I love human beings. I love us. I really like us, right? I love us so much that I think we are deserving of dignity. I think we are deserving of respect. I think that we are deserving of care, and I live that, and I try my best to surround myself with that type of love. So I am not going to call on somebody now. I'm just going to invite you to bring yourselves in when you feel ready to. And if that changes and shifts and you're like, actually, I want for the next person to that goes, if you're like, oh, actually, I want to call somebody in, you're welcome to do that. But for right now, I'm not calling anybody. I'm not calling on anybody. You're welcome to call yourself in, and this will start our circle.
I can go. I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy. I use she and they pronouns. I rep Fanm Saj all the time, but I'm also like not affiliated with any other organization. So I'm just myself as a circle keeper in community as well. And the values that I wanted to add was vulnerability and authenticity. Um, I feel like I've been doing circle keeping work within the context of organization for a long time. And since I've transitioned for the last few months, I've been just realizing how different it is to hold circle within an organization and then how it is to hold circle as just like a human being, like in the world. And there is a difference because there's some things that like I felt like I had to maintain a certain level of. And so doing this work just with like my friends, my family, catching like my people just more authentically, the values of like authenticity and vulnerability are ones that I feel like I can practice so much more freely. There are just some things like with it when you're at work, you can and can't say, right? But if you're just like out in the world, just like um being with your people, that you I feel more freedom to like bring in the pieces of myself that might not be like as professional or as for a workplace. So vulnerability and authenticity are like I'm having the freedom right now to really uphold and lean into those values more freely. And I'm complete.
Hi, I'll go ahead. My name is Michael Foster. I go by he, him, his, are my preferred pronouns. I'm from an organization that's called Life Comes From It. and also affiliated with some other organizations, but primarily with Life Comes From It. And two values that I hold up, and this, I'll give a little bit of explanation of one of them, but one is patience. So I think that in this society, we are forced to rush all the time, and rushing can lead to carelessness and can lead to oversight. And so I've tried to really discipline myself to slow down and think through and don't just act. So that's something that and it's totally counter to my personality too, by the way. And the second one is to lift one another up. And I always have to credit um, Justice Cheryl Fairbanks, who's Tlingit Tsimshian. She's a native Alaskan woman who is a huge positive influence in my life. And this is one of the core values that she um, lives according to, that is from her tribe, Tlingit specifically. And as it kind of suggests, it's about really validating one another, but validation can mean affirming and complimenting, but validating can also be sort of connected with accountability, but a loving accountability that is accompanied by love and support. And so I believe that these things are not counter to one another, but they can act synergistically. So that's me. Thank you.
I'll go next. My name is Shannon Curry, and I am with Florida Rising here in Orlando. And I use she, her pronouns, and I want to ask forgiveness. I am recovering from a cold, so I'm a little nasally. First, if I may say, Michael, that core value, lift one another up, just hit me in my soul. That was amazing. But the core values that I have always settled on, or not even settled on, but just live by, one is integrity. I feel that you have to be about what you say you are about, and open and honest and true and walk in truth and authenticity of yourself. And then another one is, it's kind of a part one, part two, because it's courage and boldness. And I think they intersect with each other, because it takes boldness to be courageous, and it takes courage to be bold. And so I'm finding myself, even as I'm aging, gravitating more and more with courage and boldness, and just kind of working back and forth and building strength off of that. So it's an honor to be here. So thank you.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Staling. I use she, her pronouns. Based out of DC, currently an independent development consultant. I think my two values that really resonated for me were connection. And just that's been a really important value for me this year, of just not letting myself get isolated and too into my own self with everything else going on outside of me. I think, we need connection to live. We can't go on this by ourselves. And then I also wanted to echo Michael's accountability, that loving accountability, not just to your connections and those you love, but to yourself as well, and bringing in some grace in the accountability that you are bringing to how you are living your life. And that's it.
I can jump in. Greetings all. My name is Iris Carmelita Garcia. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at Katali Foundation. And yeah, thinking about the values related to catching communities, loved hearing what everybody has shared so far. And I was just been thinking about, care, care that's rooted in interdependence, the recognition of interdependence, and like this kind of fractal kind of care too, like the practice of care, how we demonstrate care to each other to build trust, how we practice structures of care outside of what, you know, our systems have provided for us, how we take care of ourselves, and apply love there. Yeah, just been thinking a lot about that. And the other one I think would be responsibility. And I find there to be like this, oftentimes like this pendulum that swings from like the desire to control, and then it'll swing all the way to like the desire to lean out or lean back, and then thinking about responsibility as like the door that swings open into co-creation. And like, what is that stance where you walk through that door? Taking up the responsibility around what it means to be in community. Yeah, that's what comes to me. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to jump in because Iris, whatever energetic line you're on today must be the same one I am on, because those are two of the same exact values. So I thought it's appropriate for me to jump in. But it's good to be with you all. My name is Melat Mulugeta. I use she, her pronouns. I'm based outside of Atlanta, and I am with Urgent Action Fund for Feminist Activism. Yeah, and good to see you, and Iris and some folks that I know. Sorry that I cannot be on camera. I have to be in transit soon to pick up my little one. Um, but yeah, I too thought of both interdependence and shared responsibility as my values. I think the the main reason is I that's what I've witnessed my whole life. I have a really big extended family in diaspora, mostly here outside of Atlanta, that many of whom live within miles from each other, who have really created like an interdependent diasporic web and like really catch each other in all seasons of their life. And so, yeah, my people are from East Africa, but like the way that they've practiced interdependence here has been really a beautiful model, and like a yeah, a model and sort of a visionary microcosm of what is possible at a macro level. And I feel very grateful to be a part of a familial structure and dynamic that is just really leans into shared responsibility, and the same line of thinking that Iris has shared, just feeling very much in this moment, and in the past several years that our desires and our independent or self motivated wishes can't exceed how we're accountable to each other, and how yeah, we're responsible for each other, even when it's hard. And we want to lead into a lot of co-opted ideas of what care looks like and is. And yeah, so I feel very grateful to be a part of a community, an extended community that models that for me on a regular basis. So hoping that we can move towards that at a macro level in my lifetime or my child's. So thanks, y'all. Happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marlon, pronouncing him. I am with the Southeast Immigrant Rights Network. Two values would be cultural safety um, and cultural safety and constructive honesty. I think cultural safety because um, as a person of color, a Black man, a Black immigrant. I always want to make sure that like the spaces that I am in or a part of are respectful of like who I am as an individual, um, and my ancestors, my background. Uh, yeah, and then constructive honesty, because I think for like the past, I would say the past, not, I can say decade, um, I have witnessed where honesty can be extremely brutal and harmful, because they have a term in French that says toute vérité n'est pas bonne à dire, meaning all truth are not good to be told. I mean, there is a way to structure and construct what you are going to provide as feedback because it can be very harmful to folks. So, just being mindful that like when I am in a space, I am paying attention not only to what I am saying, the feedback that I am providing, how I am showing up, and also how others are being treated and how how they're being taken care of. But yeah, those are my two values.
I can share. Hi, my name is Paula. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am with Florida Student Power Alliance, network for C4, but Alliance for C3. And my two values, I think, would be compassion. I think that's something that I feel like if we don't see folks through the lens of compassion, regardless of things that they do or like things that, might hurt, right? Or might harm, um, we will never see each other as humans, right? And we won't ever see each other in our wholeness. And so for me, I think that's something that I want to always um uplift, not only in the way that I interact, but just like also in the way that we move within our communities and movement, right? And understanding that um there's systems that have been against us for so long that we need to see people as humans and the reasons why things happen sometimes, or harms that, are perpetuated through cyclical, you know, ways. So I think that compassion is something that um, is very important in community work and organizing, to move through. And then I think the second would be courage, because I feel like through courage is where we're able to be the most honest, right? And we hold courage and compassion together. I feel like that's where we can have um, that kind of real connection, even when if it's hard conversations, right? Like it brings out the honesty in us when we're courageous. It also brings out love with us when we're courageous, because sometimes there's tough conversations that need to be had, and or there's things that also need to be protected and uplifted. And so to tap into that courage is to be in protection of our communities as well, and with each other. So yeah, so those are two big values. Sorry, my dog, she thinks she's a cat. So but yeah, thank you.
I wonder, Natasha, if you're on. I think you're maybe the remaining person to close our circle.
Hi everyone, my name is Natasha. I am also from Florida Rising C4/Florida Rising Together C3. I really liked and I would love to uplift the values just shared. I love compassion as a value, and then I also love courage. My favorite actress, Reese Witherspoon, was talking just a couple days ago about how um we can be proactive through different emotions that we're feeling, such as anxiety, by getting out of our heads and into our hands. And I really loved how she said that because I'm getting married next weekend and it has been just bubbling over with the anxiety and last minute stresses. So really getting out there, going on walks, making something, doing something, just getting out of my head into my hands has been helpful in my own personal healing. So I like that as the values that are represented in that.
Ashe, awesome. So I think that closed our circle. And congratulations, Natasha. That's huge. That's
Thank you.
that's very big. So I'm going to put our values in the chat, what we've come up with so far. So we have Iwa Puele, good, gentle character, radical love, vulnerability, authenticity, patience, lift one another up, integrity, courage, boldness, connection, loving, accountability, care rooted in interdependence, responsibility, interdependence, shared responsibility, cultural safety, constructive honesty, compassion, courage. So, wow, these are powerful. Um, so now we get an opportunity to build consensus on these values. And what a powerful group of people to build consensus with. I just want to name that. um, and the way we build consensus through circles is you just say yes, no, or maybe. That is the easiest form. If there's something that you want to share more about, you're welcome to do that. If not, you could just say, yes, I agree, right? Or no, I disagree with this value. So I put the circle flow in the chat. So now you again will bring yourselves in. The circle flow is myself, Cindy, Michael, Shannon, Christian, Iris, Maylot, Marlene, Paula, and Natasha. And so if somebody is not, it looks like I think Shannon is off. And so when she returns, she could come back in, but we can kind of skip her and move to the next person. All right. So with these values, I say yes to them. I love how anytime we're in circle, I love how we can create values and it come up multiple times. Like I love that. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we can hold all of this. I think the one that sticks out to me the most right now is courage and boldness. Because even to do this, y'all, it's Mercury retrograde, just to announce the thing. Like just to do this in the middle of Mercury retrograde is like a thing, right? If y'all don't know, the planet Mercury is literally spinning in a whole nother direction. And I was like, yeah, let's do this, right? So, so that's like a thing, but we have real tangible things that we have to be accountable to, right? Which is for me, I think it takes a lot of boldness and courage to say you're going to do something, be in integrity and just do it, right? And kind of get over that hump. So that's the one that I would uplift. And I'm complete. I'll pass it to Cindy.
Yes to all of the above. I think what's sticking out to me is interdependence because I feel really like I can't do this without community. I can't do this work without people. I can't parent. I can't exist in the world without really having valuable relationships and deep relationships. So I'm really leaning into, and the more pressures I feel like of everyday life, I feel like it's getting more and more, and the more people that we have that are aligned, like the easier it is to carry, like that the relief we get from that pressure of just everyday life. So I'll pass it to Michael.
Great, thank you, Cindy. I also give a yes to all of the values that have been shared. The one that really stood out to me that I've really been sort of reflecting on is constructive honesty, because I think we live in a society that people are kind of cruel to each other and say things in intentionally hurtful ways and call that being honest. And I think that's dishonest in itself, which is ironic. And so I really hold all of us in a circle of love, that we may act on that and that we may give that and bring that to each other. And I will pass to, well, not Shen, I guess Shen's not here. So Kristen.
Yes, I also agree with all of the above. I kind of am thinking I'm by my connection word, I was trying to get at interdependence. So I'm gonna lift that one up as the one that's resonating the most with me right now. And I am passing it to Iris.
I'm sitting with the lifting each other up, and I think that in the past, what comes in my head is like having each other's backs, and just like the somatic experience of that, right? It's kind of the opposite of the destructive honesty. It's leaning into how can we, in whatever formation we have, the opportunity is to lift each other up, is to orient towards that. Right. I've found that if that's the stance, the work just becomes easier. And a lot of other things kind of get swept away, and being able to do really difficult work as you are in loving and supportive relationship with each other is just generates more joy. And I'll pass it to Mela.
Yeah, also resonating with all of this. Yeah, feeling the connection a bit between courage and integrity right now, and how it feels like it will require a lot of boldness and courage and bravery and all of that to really be in our integrity, both in a collective and individual way and macro, micro level right now. Um, yeah, because there's a lot of more powerful forces that are, I think, um, working to divide us right now. And so it's, yeah, 10 toes down on integrity, and being brave and courageous about that in this moment. Yeah, I'll pass it to Marlon.
Um, Absolutely. Everything what is resonating with me is interdependence because I think there is so much power in collective healing. I have experienced it and am living it. It's very powerful when community comes together to heal. And healing so much, the word is healing, but so much goes into it, like understanding, collaborating, all of that. So, yes, for me, I will pass it on to Paula.
Thank you. Um, I definitely agree to all of these values for the space, and I think what's sticking out to me right now is radical love, because I feel that and in the framework that I see radical, right? Like for me, softness is radical, right? Like being soft in a world that is so harsh is very radical, and seeing people, regardless of different um experiences that you've had, like, and the world, seeing, people as human beings, regardless of how harsh sometimes circumstances are. I think like doing the work rooted in that love for people is something that is radical, and like that the way that I think about it when we move to space in softness, and in what people usually don't see as, when think of radical, right? You think of so many different things, but I feel like the softness and love and like care that goes into relationships and community, like that's radical, and that's the way that I um yeah, that I really find it, right? Like I think that that is strength. So yeah. And then I'll pass it to Natasha, I think, was it?
I'd like to uplift the boldness and the connection because I think it's our collective that will inspire us to be bold and take the necessary actions to promote healing as we continue on to the next years of fighting for democracy. I'm
Ashe.
not sure who's left.
Thank you, Natasha. Ashe. So we've completed our circle again, and we are also welcoming Erin. Welcome. Erin, we are in circle, so welcome. We just completed, we did some introductions. We went through our purpose and objectives. We just completed a round of our values. And we are in the practice of circles. That's the format of today. And so what I will do right now, just so that you get an opportunity to enter, is I will put in the chat the values that we've come up with so far. And the values themselves, when it comes to you, Erin, we want you to think about two values that you hold when you think about catching communities. And the card, the card that we pulled today is the Inspire card, which talked a lot about Fanm Saj and catching communities and having the midwife of consciousness. And so when it comes to you, you're welcome to share your name, pronouns, who you're representing, and the two values that you would like to name. And so, and for everybody else, if you have anything else to add to the values, you're welcome to. But Erin, actually, I'll pass it to you first just for the sake of time. I'll pass it to you. And then, yeah, you could share out loud your name, where you're from. Yeah, roll. And then I see you're putting it in the chat. Okay. And then
Yeah.
also you can share your two values.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Erin. Let me get off camera or on camera. Sorry. Hi, I'm Erin Williams Rodriguez. She, her pronouns. I'm the grants program manager at Mary's Pence. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. Fanm Saj has been a past grantee of Mary's Pence, and I'm delighted to be here today at Race Invitation. Values, when I think about catching community, I think of sacredness, and I think of collective healing.
Sure. Thank you, Erin. And so now that we're adding these two values, we get to, again, build consensus, right? So consensus building is circle keeping, y'all. Like this is when we think about creating new democracy, like it's like shared power. It's like a different division of work. It is like the sweetness and the patience, right? That is also a value. And so again, yes, no, or maybe. And if you want to uplift any in this round, I know we did that the last round. You're welcome to do that again. And I say ashe, and yes, thank you for bringing in that sacredness, because it's very sacred. I'm complete. I'll pass it to Cindy.
I'll say yes. And I'll pass it to, I forgot who was after me. Was it Michael?
Me.
Okay.
And I will say yes as well. And I will pass to, I don't think Shannon's here yet, so to Kristen.
I say yes. Oops. And I pass it to Iris.
Yeah, I say yes. Melat?
I say yes. Marlon?
Yes.
I say yes. And I'll pass it to Natasha.
Yes. I'm not sure who's left to pass it to. Yes.
Awesome. Thank y'all. So if you have never been through a process of consensus building, this is what it looks like. This was easy, right? It wasn't too hard, right? Sometimes it's not so easy, y'all, especially when we're holding circle where it's like conflict or harm or just kind of like navigating movement relationships. But a lot of times, values is what helps us to get through and understanding the deeper, right? Like the deeper selves and the humanity and the dignity. And at times, sometimes values is what helps us to even get through the conflict, right? Because if we can kind of agree on values and it's almost like, like I can hold that value. I may not like you right now, or I may not want to interact with you right now, but I can vibe with the value. And so this is why and how we practice the values. And so at this time, I'm going to share my screen again, where I get an opportunity. Well, before I do that, I want to share with you all Fanm Saj values. So that way, in case you're not familiar with our values, you can have them. So our values are vulnerability, courage, curiosity, creativity, unity, restorative, diversity of journey, and transformation. And so when we hold circle and we think about like how our organization is made up, these are the values that we uphold, and we try our best to match and meet with impact. So when we think about, well, what's the impact that you want to make in the world? Like these are the values that we know that we're making an impact when our people show up that way, or we can lead them and guide them to showing up in this way. So I'm going to share now my screen and then give y'all a little bit of opportunity to learn more, a little bit more from Saj. And also, then we'll move into our fishbowl. Okay. All right, cool. So everybody see my screen okay? Now I'm not able to really see you all.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So this is our visible work that we want to highlight, right? Like we want you all, either you're in relationship with Fanm Saj already or not, right? Or you're trying to figure out like what's the strategy, how does it work, right? We hold circles. We hold a lot of circles. We hold healing circles, conflict resolution, Reiki. Circles is like what we do. And how we do it is really as equally important, right? So how we do it is we provide training. So we train folks. We would say that we're growing and wanting to become more of like an institute where people can receive restorative justice circle keeping training. But currently we do that with youth and we do that with adult allies. We are activating all the time and figuring out ways that we can have circles be part of community building. And currently what this is looking like is doing Black migrant circles, specifically for Haitian or Caribbean new immigrant mothers, men, women, specifically with a focus on care and mutual aid, and continuously since like 2018, right? We try our best to continue to cultivate the leadership skills of young people for them to be able to create their own systems of care, including mutual aid, holistic art, healing practices, and really practicing and passing down ancestral wisdom and knowledge. And all of this, y'all, is that we really sit at the intersection. And we are, I would say, the value of like interdependence is really who we are and what we do. Our visible work is very much connected with immigration, reproductive justice is very much connected with housing, ending the school to prison pipeline. And so we really sit at the intersection when we think about healing justice in that work. I like to tell our folks that like if you look at the word healing justice and you break it down, we can't just do healing without the justice. And if we are, just throw the whole thing out the door, because healing without justice, you could just it's trash, right? Especially in a time where people are being oppressed, they're being punished for being who they are, right? And our work, our visible work and invisible work, which we'll share in a little bit, is really like when we think about the work that we're doing, we're creating an alternative system, right? This is what abolition looks like. Whether or not somebody believes that this is abolition, this is what it looks like at the very least to us, all right? So this is a little bit of like what we've been up to. And so for those who are familiar with the Fanm Saj Youth Leadership program, what has changed, right, is that we've been able to like be more adaptive, right, and also more intergenerational. And so some people who are on here are like, oh, I know Fanm Saj as like a youth leadership board. Some of y'all are like, oh, I know Fanm Saj as like movement building, right? Some of y'all are like, oh, y'all hold circles, sacred healing circles, Black migrant circles. This is what we do, right? And so we wanted you all to kind of understand and see more of the scope of what we do, where we really are, at the end of the day, trying our best, right, to center the leadership of Black women, girls, gender nonconforming youth, right? And specifically, we want folks who are directly impacted by white supremacy, patriarchy, systemic oppression. Many of our leaders and residents are working class folks who are impacted by violence, criminalization within schools, wild immigration policies, gender-based violence. And so because of that, this is where we really sit at much of the intersection. And so we've had to be adaptable, right? So we're in Florida. So last season, hurricane season, there was tornadoes, there was hurricanes. So we've had to like be adaptable to be able to say, okay, this is what folks are asking for, this is what's needed. And so how do we show up, right? And this has meant that we're like expanding. And Fanm Saj has always been connected to like other organizations across Florida, but like the expansiveness of this is like much more. And so it is like that we're creating care packages, but we're also connecting like healing with the care packages that we're doing, right? When it comes to like climate, what we call it like climate gentrification and the interruption that happens when our folks are already under attack and then something else, another crisis happens, right? And we are continuing to do our youth leadership development work, where we're training young people to become circle keepers, and then they themselves are able to hold circles in their communities. In the past, what that has looked like is we have our youth leadership board program, where young people, they apply to become part of our youth leadership board. But now what's different is now we have youth leadership board members who've been here for 2+ years with Fanm Saj. And instead of them transitioning out and doing something else, we keep them. So they stay involved either still as youth leadership board members or volunteers. And so, and then what's new is the youth trainees who are now becoming trained up and being coached by other youth leaders who've been part of Fanm Saj. So that part of our work is really exciting because, again, it's the peer-to-peer coaching model that we know very much works in our movements of like training each other up, right, and supporting each other in our growth. And then the sustaining leadership and movement building that a lot of you all know us for. We're still doing sacred healing circles. We're doing the community accountability processes. Those are the things that if you look on our website or you look on Instagram, you're not going to see us holding community accountability processes. Like that is not what we do because we really hold that as sacred. But people know to call Fanm Saj if something is happening within their organization or something's happening within the movement ecology, like we folks call on Fanm Saj to be able to hold that, right, and strengthen folks' relationships and cultivate it too, right, and then continuingly with like relationship building and healers' call to action, and so you all will hear a lot of this language throughout our time together today. But I just wanted you all to kind of like have an idea of how we're entering and what we've been up to. All right. And then some of our invisible work is really ceremony. is very much like holding ceremony for the sake of for the collective of our liberation. It's supporting young BIPOC people to navigate conflict in ways that decrease power from carceral and state systems, and practice transformative justice through accountability processes for those who experience harm and do not want to engage the police, the law, social workers, or whichever. And this picture here, you may or may not understand what's happening here, but there's ceremony that we do when we are invoking and really venerating our ancestors, and those who have come before us, where this particular ceremony is a ceremony with herbs, where we're washing and preparing herbal medicine for our community to be able to continue to foster healing and growth and collective action. And this is a little bit more of like who we are, right? In this image, I just want to name on the right, so I think you all would be looking at it the same way I am. So on the right side, this is our new youth. And so we have Shanice, Shoshana, Xenia, Luna, and Nalu. And those are our youth trainees that are being cultivated by Jasmine, Markeya, Gwen, Kimani, as well as our team. Like, so some of our team members, they weren't able to come beyond today, but Sanaya and Alexis are also on the youth program team. But this is where we're able to kind of like model. And what's beautiful about the folks who are receiving our training they are young people that are involved across movement ecosystems. So these current young people are involved in arts, they're involved in birth justice, reproductive justice, they're involved in movement around like internationalism, right? And so there's so much beauty and also like ending the school to prison pipeline. So our work, again, is not issue-based, right? We're not doing issue-based campaigns, but we are cultivating leadership across our movement. So it's really beautiful to kind of congratulate them too. So if you all are following us on Instagram, you can leave a note there. If you see this image up, it should be pinned up. If you see a note there, they could like leave a note and be like, hey, congratulations or something. They see that. Young people pay attention. So we big them up for their leadership. And then this was one of the orientations that we had. We were able to have Lizzie Suarez to do some art for us, where we were able to do an orientation talking about healing justice, and then having them kind of give examples of like systems of trauma, right? Giving them language, but then utilizing our curriculum to be able to kind of unpack what that language means for them. And so some of the values that they came up with are across here as well. And some of like the frameworks and what vulnerability and all of that means to them is here as well. And so courage is something that is lifted up here as well. Getting out of your own comfort zone, being okay with healthy criticism, speak up, asking for help. So these are very much interconnected, even with the values that we've named today as well. All right. And this here is us really kind of expanding what restorative justice practices look like and connecting it with African traditional practices. And so I had the opportunity with a lot of you all support actually to be able to go to Nigeria as a way to like reclaim and also to be able to deepen my own relationship with my mom who transitioned a year ago, March 27th, and kind of going back to Nigeria. Some people call it like a pilgrimage or reclamation, but connecting with an ancestral practice has helped me a lot with my grief. And if you can imagine, as a leader, we're almost asked all the time to share, right? And to hold the values that we say, that we have to like be in integrity with the values. And this is one way that I practice integrity and being in the value of like vulnerability, or being in the value of authenticity, or being in the value of care and patience, is to be able to be in a tradition that honors all of that, right? And so we've been playing around at Fanm Saj, for example, of like who heals the healer, right? Like as you're doing this healing work or you're holding circles, like who does that? Who heals you? And for us, for me as a leader with Fanm Saj, it's almost like there are many ways to answer that question. But to be able to be grounded in a practice has helped me and has shaped the way that I understand healing justice as well. And so the beauty of it is like, if you look on the picture on the left, is like we got an opportunity to hold circle while we were there, So like we're introducing new people into circle keeping that they may be familiar, right, with peacekeeping, but they're like the formality of like guidelines and values and talking peace, which is an indigenous practice, it was new for some of the folks who are there. And then the pictures on the right here are pictures from a festival, which is the Oshun Festival. And Oshun is the deity of love, of fertility. If somebody were to match her energy, would be like this. She's like the ultimate feminist, ultimate womanist who stands for women's rights, and that she brings a lot of joy into people's lives. And so when we integrate and we cultivate a relationship with Oshun, then it brings us the fertility that we're looking for and the growth and the hope that we're looking for in the work that we're doing. And so it was beautiful. And what does that look like in imagining ways that we could bring more people who are connected with Fanm Saj to be able to participate in such a festival or other traditional practices? All right. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly just so that we can be able to do our fishbowl. But we were able to do a community wellness survey, and this was powerful. Like us to be able to do like our strategy of like before, during, and after the elections, and what does healers' call to action look like. Folks showed up. People we were unexpected, and it was not just, it was, although like our roots is very much centered on African people across the African diaspora, this was something that impacted like all people of color, right? And allies. And so we were able to hold 13 diverse events in collaboration with various community organizers and healers. And there were over 650 attendees. If you're doing work in South Florida and Florida, it's like movement building, reshaping and understanding our culture. This is like a big hit for us, right? That we're able to kind of bring people together and do this type of work. And I wanted to share a couple of impact stories with each other in this season, something that, and I'm going to stop share now and come back on camera to share these. So two stories that I wanted to share with you all so that you can consider and understand where we're at right now. We were holding circle with a trans activist who she was coming from another country, and the support that she needed was asylum. And she went and was not able to get that support from another organization, came through Fanm Saj, and we've been able to connect her with different organizations and different partners, including some that are here, to be able to receive that level of care, legal care and support, right? That, for example, somebody would say, well, that's not your work. Like many people be like, well, that's not the work of Fanm Saj, but the person entered circle. So our responsibility then becomes, well, how do we support them with meeting the needs that they've asked for? And so then we go into our ecosystem to figure that out, right? And so that is what mutual aid, that's what resource mobilization looks like for us. Another story in the last couple of months that we've been interacting with was like a young person who's not part of our youth leadership board, but is a volunteer, shared with us that his parents left and went back to Haiti. So they went back to Haiti. And so he, at the time, was 17. What happened? He was staying with the aunt, got in some conflict with the aunt, and now needed to like find a place to stay. And so the housing issues that are happening in South Florida is wild. So to what we were able to like navigate and like move him through was the there was like one bedroom, but you had to pay weekly $1,000. Yeah, that's $4,000 a month. So those are like the options that he was playing around with, right? And so one of our young people were like, what can we do? What can we do? And so what that meant for us was like we had to it was like I'm familiar with social work, so it almost feels like we're doing social work at this point, right? Like mutual aid in a way is like social work. So we're able to connect him with one of our another partner who has like a housing. It's not like a how do you call it? It's not like a co-op or whichever, but has like like housing, and he was able to like connect and like now stays there for like a much more affordable rate. And now he's 18 and he's able to like do some things on his own. And so we run into a lot of those types of stories, a lot of those kind of like folks kind of going into crisis, and we have to be interdependent. There's no way, like even Fanm Saj is so small that there's no way that we can just do it all, right? We have to connect with the folks doing housing. We have to connect with the folks doing mobilizing and collective call to actions, because if we don't, then one, it's not sustainable for us, right? And two, the people who need the support and care, they don't get what they need, right? And so our ecosystem is growing very much so. And we consider all of you all to be part of our ecosystem. So thank you. If I don't say it enough, thank you for being in this work with us. So we now get an opportunity to enter our fishbowl. So some of you all, I spoke to you ahead of time for you to kind of prepare, but kind of just know that you'll be in the fishbowl, right? But the way that fishbowls work is I'm going to pin you, so you're going to start getting pinned. Basically, when you're pinned, you're going to go up, I think, on the screen up here. And you get an opportunity to then be part of our fishbowl. Let's see. Okay, so I'm beginning to pin folks. And then what happens is that as we're here, all right. So this is going to be our fishbowl for now. As we are here, and you want to be part of we're each gonna go, right? We're all gonna go, and the intention in this space is you're gonna share your name, you're gonna share your pronouns, you'll share your relationship to Fanm Saj, and you're answering the question like why do you partner with Fanm Saj, right? And why and how, and what's the strategy, right? And why this is important to me and to us is because a lot of times when we think about Fanm Saj, the work that we do, it's almost like people will get part of our work, but they don't get the full scope of our work. It's the same way of like how funding comes. Funding will come like, oh, I'll fund this part of your work, or I'll fund that part of your work, except now we're being asked to do way more. Actually, now we're being asked to do way more than we were in 2020. And what that means what that meant is that we're still trying our best to say as many yeses. And if we can be able to articulate what we do so that way it's not so siloed, then hopefully we'll be able to receive more support, like general operating support for the work that we do. And so we each here, I'm going to be part of this, and we get to do our fishbowl. And then if you want to come in after, and as we're having conversation, we don't necessarily need to do circle in the fishbowl. We could just kind of popcorn in the fishbowl. But if somebody on the outside wants to join in the fishbowl, you're welcome to do this. Okay. We're going to be in the fishbowl for about 30 minutes or so. And so, everybody ready? So right now, thank you, Iris. I see you on Cindy and Paula, if y'all want to join us on camera. I know also that you all are dealing with like children and babies and all the things, animals, but welcome to our fishbowl. And Everyone else, you could put your hand up when you want to tap in, and then somebody can come out. Okay, so that way we could stay 4 people in the fishbowl. All right, so the first question here, and what we're really, what I'm inviting you all to help us all contextualize is why Fanm Saj? Why do you partner with Fanm Saj, or why have you supported Fanm Saj work? And how have you done that, right? So you could answer like the why and the how, and whoever feels ready to begin, you're welcome to kick us off.
Okay, I'll start. My name is Cindy. I use she and they pronouns. I'm local in South Florida. I've been organizing in South Florida since maybe 2018. And I worked with Dream Defenders at the time. We worked on some rights restoration work, and then I transitioned into being their transformative justice coordinator for Dream Defenders. And Dream Defenders is an abolitionist organization that focuses heavily on organizing work. And I wanted to as the transformative justice coordinator, I wanted to partner with Fanm Saj at the time, because I really wanted us to be able to not only organize, but build up our skills to be able to respond to harm and conflict, and think more about what if we're asking folks to buy into our organizing around, like, we don't want police in prisons. What else are we offering? Like, what are we offering, and how are we practicing new ways of being? So I partnered with Fanm Saj to Ruth came in and trained a bunch of our organizers, about, I think it was maybe 7 or 8 of us that got trained in 2018 on circle keeping, so that us across the state of Florida who were a part of chapters had the skills to be able to deal with conflict, to deal with harm that is happening in our communities, in addition to the organizing that we were doing. And so, yeah, that's one of the ways that we had partnered in the past. And then as the transformative justice coordinator, there were times where we had harm happen in our membership, or conflict happen in our membership, and we needed, beyond us being circle trained, we needed outside facilitators. We needed facilitators who were not necessarily a part of the organization, but we're also like rooted in community, and really had like the skills to hold things that were really, really difficult, that we couldn't really hold within our organization. So we had partnered with Fanm Saj to be able to hold some of those harm circles and hold those community accountability processes, as a way that we could still uphold our organizational values, but we didn't have like the capacity to do the actual service, right? So partnering with Fanm Saj was really important. And then I would just say, since 2018 on my own, I held circle within my organization as a tool to train frontline workers who were working at a community-based safety program called the Healing and Justice Center. So I was holding regular circles for folks who were working at the front lines of doing trauma recovery work with folks in Liberty City, doing violence interruption and prevention work. We had a mobile crisis unit. So I was holding circles for our team of folks, so that we were able to be in good, healthy relationship and be equipped with having space for us to then be able to go and do that work where we're like highly exposed to trauma. We needed a soft place to land internally. And so I was able to hold circle for my team as well. And since then, I've transitioned out of Dream Defenders and the Healing and Justice Center. And since then, I've been like just doing circles all the time. I worked there's a local psychiatric facility that's like 2 blocks down the street from me, where there are youth who are in a residential facility. So I get to hold circle with them twice a month. And then I just do here at my house with my friends and my family and my people, my community. So it's definitely been an incredible journey to partner with Fanm Saj. And now, as I'm holding regular circle, it just is like becoming a part of like my practice, becoming a part of my livelihood, and just like the way that I show up in the world. And I feel really grateful that I'm able to just be in community with others in that way, and offer folks just a new and different way of being that's like required for the world that we're living in, for the realities that we're living in.
Shay, it's almost like I'm so glad that we're doing this because there's like elements of the work that I too am learning and I didn't know, so that's awesome. Shay, would like to go next.
I can go next. So my name is Paula Munoz, and my pronouns are she, her, ella, and my relationship with Fanm Saj has just been, I feel like I've been in the ecosystem with Fanm Saj through my many roles that I've had, right? Which shows, again, it's not about the organizations, it's about the real relationships and organizing that happens. Through when I was at the Florida Immigrant Coalition, right? Like we co-hosted the Youth Summit, right? With Baji as well, and just created space for young people to have their own space, to be able to reclaim their own governance, right? Which is something that we don't have a lot of for just young people, right? Like when we talk about governing, like a lot of the times young people are completely left out of it when it's actually something that is rooted and needed in our world, right? And I think I see this, the leadership development that Fanm Saj brings in through their trainings. I also experienced, I was in circles before with Miami Worker Center that they hosted. And it's a beautiful practice to, one, understand like the idea of being able to talk through different and hard discussions, right? Like in community. There is a lack of resources in our world that allows people to do that, right? Like allows to actually heal, or even for folks to reflect on harm, right? And I feel like even in the circles that like I've been a part of or I've witnessed, right? It's just moments of through learning through folks' lived experiences, it creates a healing and transformation for other folks that are in the circle. And learning about those tools of, for example, something as easy as the speaking piece, right? Like that you pass around when you speak, like being intentional about what you're gonna say, because sometimes we're taught to just say whatever is in our mind, and sometimes that's not the most conducive. So seeing it as an adult, right? Like I'm now 32 and it's things that I really learned in my mid-20s, but seeing young people, right? And even our youth that have participated in trainings with Fanm Saj, and seeing them have these realizations, so like early intervention, right? Like early learning and leadership development, where they're the ones that own the space, and seeing kind of them be the teachers of those things that are very nature-based, right? Like I don't think people are naturally trying to create harm in the world and actively trying to like cause violence, and kind of getting to the root of those things, and creating those interventions to actually, this is how we can talk to each other to figure things out together, to build consensus. That's something that I didn't learn till I was a lot older and I actually got into movement spaces, but seeing like young people kind of lead the spaces and lead these conversations is something that is so powerful and beautiful. And like, as now that I'm in Florida Student Power, right? One of the things that we're always trying to make sure is that we do a lot of organizing in our communities with young people, right? And like we want young people to govern? And also, are they having the tools that they need for them to be their whole selves? And the answer is a lot of times no, unless there's organizations that like Fanm Saj that is creating those tools. And so for us, a lot of the pieces that we hold are organizing through care, right? Like care work, but we don't have the tools. And so a lot of the partnering that comes in with Fanm Saj is the circle keeping tools that our youth benefit from. And I know that also the centering of young Black girls, Black immigrant girls, right? Like that's something that even in the spaces that we are at, that we talk about immigration, Black folks are not centered. And to have that very honest conversation, have that space that's specifically for Black migrants and young Black migrants is something that is, again, it's something that it's not done naturally. It should be, but it's not. And like the way that Fanm Saj holds the spaces to make sure that folks are often not involved or included into these spaces, right? It's like the intersection of immigrant rights, right? And then the intersection of Black folks, Black immigrants sometimes like are in the limbo because they don't feel fully represented through all their identities and their whole selves. And so I know with our organization, like we've been working with Fanm Saj on these circles, and it's been very empowering even for like our young people that are part of it, and feeling seen, right? Like that's what I've heard also from like the experience is like one of my our director of organizing, she's a Black immigrant, and for her, she's like, I feel like my whole self. Like I don't have to divide who I am in this space. And that's so something that's so incredibly powerful. And yeah, I don't think that it's funded enough. I don't think that it's prioritized enough, but it creates that world of a difference when we're talking about creating change in even Florida, any context, right? But specifically in Florida, where all of our all folks that are most impacted are the ones that are getting left out, right? And so having these tools in in our ecosystem, like knowing that that we could work intersectionally to like create that complementary relationship, right? Where we're going to legislative session in a couple weeks for Youth Power at the Capitol. We're bringing 150 youth, and Fanm Saj is part of that. They're bringing also a large amount of youth, and not only that, but we're holding circles at the Capitol, like in the ivory tower, where it literally, like Black and brown kids are told they don't belong there, right? Like that our people say that they don't belong there in this ivory tower, which is the Capitol, and it's so inaccessible. And we're taking over the space, and we're taking it over with healing and transformation and teaching these tools to young people. And it's something that is so like radical, like, right? Like that's what I see that's radical, right? Like not people in suits or like us bringing you got to wear your suit and tie. No, we're actually going to go in there and we're going to have circles at the Capitol. And we're going to have healing justice space for for young people to actually like decompress and also like process what is going on in this world and what is going on in this state. And that's something that we would not be able to do without Ruth and the Fanm Saj team. And I'm so grateful that we're in deep collaboration around this, because it really makes a world of a difference in our movement building across the state. So yeah, very grateful.
Ashay, thank you, Paula. It's true. And this won't be the first. I remember when actually Dream Defenders, I was at the time I was working at Power U. And I remember when Dream Defenders and Power U and other organizations took over the state capitol fighting for Trayvon's law. And young people were organically holding circles, and like having healing spaces, having spaces to process what was going on, building values, like all the things. And mind you, like then in the next room, like at the time, Rick Scott was governor. And so he literally was like pulling up his, I remember young people shared with me, he pulled up like his Slack to show his socks with the Confederate flag. And young people they weren't scared. They were like, they're holding their ground. And I do think of that power of young people being able to take up space, no matter what they're kind of facing, that courage and that strength and boldness. So I'm looking forward for us to do it again.
I'm happy to share next. Those were just such beautiful testimonies. Thank you so much, Cindy and Paola. Yeah, my name again, Iris Garcia. I work at Katali Foundation. I'm on their program team for mindfulness and healing justice. Calling in from Oakland, California today. And yeah, I guess just to what's important to know about Katali is just that we are a private national foundation, spending out all of our resources over 10 years to build the power of Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. And we really employ three main frameworks that guide that wealth redistribution. So restorative economies, environmental justice, and healing justice. So I love, hearing more about the adaptability part of your work, right? Like it's all kind of interwoven. And I think I don't really have to say anything to y'all about healing justice. I think y'all, are experts at the framework. I will share, this is a little article that I co-wrote with Summer Nowak, and it mentions Fanm Saj in it. And that's Melot's colleague from the Urgent Action Fund. And it speaks a little bit to like why both of our foundations are, in support of healing justice, right? Just, really trying to build that sustained infrastructure for healing justice so that, practitioners can be strong, long-term partners for movements for change, and to really kind of integrate into movements to build power, inform strategy alongside organizers. And, I think Ruth has mentioned a lot of times funders, they care about the wellness of individuals in the movements, but the way they end up funding it is like, okay, like a one-off wellness retreat maybe, or a small supplementary grant for your wellness, or, oftentimes project support. And so I think for us, we really want to see those healing efforts be integrated into like the traditions and the tools and the strategies of movements that keep people sustained for the long haul. And really just to have leaders that are well resourced spiritually and culturally and able to meet these challenges, right? And to be and stay in strong relationship with their colleagues and partners as they do the really difficult work of building power for communities. And then as a national funder, like why would we be in South Florida? So, for our understanding of the healing justice framework is that healing justice work is rooted in place, right? That these practices and these solutions, they're rooted in people, land, and water, and in the local community, right? And that those solutions that are developed in South Florida are going to be different, than say in Oakland, California, right? There might be similarities, but we're not searching a franchise model where you develop, your alternative systems and then you replicate it, right? Like it has, it's got to have that flavor of the folks, right? And so we also understand that the United States is moving into authoritarian fascism, and we know that y'all that have been on the ground in Florida have been experiencing this for a while, right? We know that you all have so much to teach us about what it takes. I mean, just even these conversations here, hearing your stories. And we really see, Fanm Saj building the strength and the power of the most impacted communities right now: immigrants, Black women, trans, gender nonconforming folks, youth, right? And so, Fanm Saj is one of many of our partners that are building these like alternative systems of care in place, right? That are not reliant on the systems that oppress our people. And so for me, I think of this phrase I learned from Pat McCabe, Danae Elder. She talks about the life rafts of coherence, right? And in these moments, we need these like bright spots, and the hopefulness for our future of what could be possible. And then in terms of like, how we fund and partner, for us, it is really important to sustain folks in this ecosystem where like they are putting their full attention to healing justice, to collective care. And so, we really always give multi-year general operating support. And part of that is just to allow organizations to be able to dream. And to get out of the like hamster wheel of applying for funding and reporting on funding and out of that cycle, and to really have the spaciousness to dream about what might be possible beyond this present moment. And I think hearing Ruth talk about this, like, the critical mediation support that they get called into, right, to resolve these movement conflicts. Like, we know that with this increased internal pressure, what happens? Infighting, right? We splinter apart, there's security breaches, all this stuff. And so being in this practice of restoring relationship after conflict, it is practicing that abolitionist model, right? It's modeling how we are going to turn away from policing and from punitive systems and violence and surveillance. And in order to do that, folks need the long-term resources. So, we're just really proud to be, a funding partner for the moment that we exist, right? Which is not in perpetuity, right? It is for this moment. And yeah, just trying to show up in the best way that we can. So thank you so much for the invitation to be part of the circle and to get to build with the folks that you build with.
Shay, and thank you, Iris. Thank you for you and Somer, who was gonna be on today. There's something going around, y'all. Like, I don't know what it is, but
It's gnarly. Yeah.
It's what?
I said it's gnarly. There's like,
yeah.
I don't know, like, at least in California, in the Bay Area, everybody's sick.
Yeah. So she was gonna be on, but she's not able to be on. And too, Donna too from Katali, she was gonna be on, but she too is not feeling well. And so we're sending love and affirmations to them and knowing that they will get better, right? With rest and with care. But yeah, the article that you all wrote was really like a highlight, I think, for me, because there were so many other organizations that Fanm Saj has worked with before, like in the past. I was also featured in the article. But what it did for me was to also ground, and like sometimes you don't know the impact that you're making until like we get on calls like this and we're like, oh, we get to reflect, right? Or we do like retreats or evaluations. And even Michael with Life Comes From It, being able to like support us with like technical assistance and doing surveying and like evaluations have been like hyper visible, and even Mary Spence, like it's almost like to be able to bring all of us together, is like it, right? To have these conversations naturally and organically. And I must say, like, I don't know if it's like so much public information, but here we are now, right? That like Katali has become like a funding partner of like this multi-year vision, right? Of like, what does it look like to fund general operating multi-year to an organization like Fanm Saj, that we're growing, right? We're growing. The need is, there's so much needs, and we understand what's going on in our movements and our funding, like funding ecosystem too. Like there's so much change also happening there. But at the end of it, like we understand our work to be so crucial. And so thank you, Iris, for and the folks at Katali for just seeing us, right? And being able to like go in with us too. So it means a lot. It really truly does. And thank you, Cindy and Paula. And so I think we may have time to maybe have one person, if you want to tap in to maybe ask a question or to share, you're welcome to. Just put your name in the chat or raise your hand. I don't know if I could see everyone. Maybe if you put your name in the chat or just put a symbol in the chat, then I'll be able to see it. But yeah, I wanted to just say thank you all for being here and having this conversation around healing justice and how do we connect it still with our movement ecosystem for social justice, for racial justice, right? It's almost like I always think of our work as like we're cultivating culture. That is it. Like that's what we're doing, and that itself is movement building, and that is racial justice. Like all in all, right? So I'll give folks a minute if you wanna maybe come in. If not, we're gonna move towards like next steps and closing.
I'll just say I've been here in silence, just listening. Thank you. Again, my name is Shannon. I use she, her pronouns. I'm with Florida Rising, which is a Florida-based um, politically independent organization that focuses on organizing in Black and Brown communities. And I will say this, as interested as I have become in just listening to what you've said, Ruth, I have never been a part of a healing circle. Never. So I'm listening and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen it done, to see I can realize its benefits just by listening, but I've never seen it, which sparks a lot of curiosity for me. I am just here to listen, but I see a person from our development department is on, Natasha. I don't know what the relationship is between, if I say it right, Fanm Saj and Florida Rising. But I can say that there's been a part of what my role is ensuring a positive employee experience within our organization. So it's a responsibility to oversee or facilitate um, restorative justice type circles and facilitated conversations and, having affinity spaces and things like that. Um, but I have heard mention of healing spaces and just have never seen it before. So just really interested to gain more information, one, and then of course I don't make the decisions, but see where there is or can be some connection, because what you all do is what we all do, and it would be great to see how that intersects, and become reality in a regular cycle, a scope of work and things like that. So thank you for allowing me to share the space with you, and learn as much as I've learned so far. So thanks.
Sure, Shannon. That's awesome. I always love it when somebody does have never heard of like a healing circle. 'Cause oh my gosh. It's a world of wonders, right? Sometimes, right? Sometimes you get into the wheel and you're like, whoa, what did I get into? But this is then where, like, for me as a practitioner, I then have to connect with my source, which is my ancestors, which is my spiritual guides of like, all right, how do I really enter? And if when do we enter, right? There's always a divine timing and but the need is always there. And so I'm so glad that you joined, Shannon, and folks at Florida Rising, because I think in the past, what has happened with like multiple partners is like a staff transitions, and so something gets lost, or like like relationship changes, and so it's always nice to have relationships with like multiple people, within the organization, and or again to what Cindy and Paula were sharing, like it's almost like if we contain our relationships outside of organizations, then what that means is that when we're able to like funnel and support each other regardless, right? And so we're able to like hold circles, we're able to hold healing clinics, activations, do meditation, Reiki, yoga, ancestral practices with herbs and ceremony. But all of it takes a lot of, yes, one, curiosity and conversation and relationships. So I'm looking forward. So for sure, a next step for everybody is I will be doing, and we will be doing, I'm going to unpin us so that we can come back into the room. Thank you, Iris. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Paula. I see you. I hear you. Thank you to your spirit, and thank you for your ancestors also for being here with us. So I'm going to unpin us. Let's see. So the next phase of things is we're going to follow up. The follow-up is going to be just one-on-one check-in, seeing how this was for you, and also give an invitation to a couple of things. So the first thing that we would love for everybody to do is to follow us, right? Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, on all social media platforms, and go on our website, visit our page, see what we're about. This is our website, fmsaj.org. And then we would also invite you to actually be in this work with us, right? Our next kind of like movement, we have Black migrant circles every month. Actually, the next one is April 8th. And so if you want to experience a circle, you're welcome to be there. But the next kind of like movement space where we're bringing folks together is the We Got Us, the Diaspora's Calling. This is going to be a Skillshare Summit. Registration opens tomorrow, right? And so this again is like not happening only with Fanm Saj, but with organizations across Florida. And the invitation here is you can attend, you could sponsor as an organization, and signing up, right? This is so you could experience our work and see and feel the joy of it all. And our largest piece, right, is we want to be supported with multi-year general operating funds. And if you yourself are like, we're in an interesting place, or whichever, then support us by connecting us to other funding partners, right? That's what like relationship and movement building looks like for us too. Like even as organizers or healers, we're like connecting with each other all the time and every day. We're like, all right, you should do a one-on-one with this person. You connect with this person, right? And so I think Fanm Saj is very much at a point where we can no longer sustain ourselves with like kind of project or program funds. We really are at a point where we need multi-year general operating funds. And so who can help us get there, right? And it's us. It's us and it's you and it's me and it's all of us. And so with that, I want to say thank you to everyone. We are going to move into a closing together. But these are some of our folks. Like we're in ceremony. This image here on the top left is a Ford Promise fellowship that I was a part of with some education justice organizers. We were at the movies with our young people. We went to watch Black Panther, so that's why you see our arms are like crossed. This was at our 5-year fundraiser, which a lot of you all were a part of. Our team has been shaped a lot differently over the years, but these are some of our folks who have been part of our team, past, present. And what I realized with Fanm Saj is regardless if somebody's part of like a staff capacity as a consultant or a contractor, they're still part of our ecosystem. And that I really deeply appreciate. And us in ceremony and circle, dancing, having joy. This is what it looks like, right? For us to be able to be in community with each other. And so with that, I'm going to stop my share and move us into a closing. Thank you so much for being here. You all, we spent 2 hours together, y'all. Oh my gosh. If we were in person, I'd be giving everybody hugs and kisses. Like I'm Haitian, we kiss, we go around this whole circle and everybody gets a hug, everybody gives a kiss, you know. I've had to teach my children like consent, like you don't have to do that, you know, like, but my mom raised me and may her spirit continue to rest in peace and elevate me and all of us. It's still challenging, you know, like in this season of grief, but I am held. I'm very much held, and I'm so, so grateful for her position in my life. And I'm so grateful that you all are in my life too, and in Fanm Saj's life. So I am going to bring it back to the team. This recording will be shared with folks who weren't able to be here, and our team and our youth who weren't able to be here. Thank you, Erin. I see your note. Thank you so, so much for all of your support. And so we're gonna close with a song. We're organizers, we're cultural workers, and so I invite you to, if you're able to, it's like a call and response. This song, you're able to come off mute, you can do so. This song is a song that I learned at Highlander Research Education Center, which I now get a chance to sit on the board of Highlander. We're also, y'all, like hiring, I know this is like another thing, but we are looking for executive directors for Highlander. And so if you know of anybody or if you yourself are interested, we would love you to submit an application. I'll definitely attach it in submitting that in our follow-up. But I learned this song from Alandra Williams, who was an organizer at Highlander and who helped to cultivate my understanding of healing justice. I wasn't always like this, y'all. I was the one like, we gonna shut it down. Like for those who know me, we shutting it down, right? Like we direct action every single day, right? So it's my ancestors in my Ori that has led me to this path right now. And so the song is Solid as a Rock. So some of y'all may know it. And it is call and response. And so if you are able to come off, it only works if somebody else is singing with me. Like it can't just be me. And so we're gonna close with that. All right. All right. So it starts and you'll say it just like I'm saying it. And we could clap, we could dance, we could jingle, however. All right. So solid as a rock.
Solid as a rock,
Rooted like a tree.
rooted like a tree.
Rooted like a tree.
We are here.
We are
We are
here,
Standing strong
standing strong
Standing strong.
in our rightful place.
in
in
our
our
right.
In our
rightful
rightful place.
Ashe, solid as a rock.
Solid as
solid
a
as a
rock.
rock,
Solid as a rock.
Rooted like a tree.
Rooted like
rooted like
a
a
tree.
tree.
Rooted like a tree.
We are here.
We are
We are
here,
We are here.
Standing strong
standing
strong.
strong
Standing strong.
in our rightful place.
in our rightful
Our
place.
rightful place.
In our rightful place.
In our rightful
Our
place.
rightful place.
In our rightful place.
In
In
our
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 rightful
rightful
place.
place.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Right. So, y'all, I want to say thank you. And look at that, you got 3 minutes back. Get some water. Yeah, thank y'all so much. And we will for sure be in contact. I look forward to oh, you were ready to sing another song. Whatever brings you joy, whatever brings you joy and remembrance, right? Like the remembrance of care. And so, like our people tell us, and our organizers and healers tell us, we got us, right? We don't need to depend on the state to do anything for us. We got us. We just have to continue to cultivate the systems of care for and with each other. But with that, thank y'all so much. Let me see if I could let us go with a song. And if you didn't get to catch the song with Inez, I'm going to play it again so that way as we're transitioning out, we can hear it again. And thank y'all so much. Let's see.
Goggins goggle glasses, and I had no idea what I was doing. But GoDaddy Aero does, using AI to build a logo, website, and social content, so I can let the world know.
Oh, I think it got muted.
Shades of blue. Don't want the
Let's
sun.
try that again. Thank you.
I start to do. I've lost my mind.
Good?
Never tried to find it, 'cause what I discovered, it was keeping me down. So when nights reawaken, I start to do. 'Cause if skies that crumble and brings tears to your eyes can rise up in the morning and bring hope through sunken eyes, then the love that was lost can start anew. So show me the light, shine it on the whole world, shine it on the whole world, shine it on the whole world. 'Cause in my heart beats a drum louder than you and I, louder than you and I. 'Cause if skies that crumble and brings tears to your eyes can rise up in the morning and bring hope through sunken eyes, then the love that was lost can start anew. Yo, Benino. Ayibobo!
Shay. Shay, I was